Bill Clinton, a couple of days ago, said, and I quote, that Hillary's opponent is telling people what they want to hear. He said then that's going on now in our own party. If you don't deal with the fact that we are too politically polarized and we keep rewarding people who tell us things we know they can't do because it pushes our hot button, we can't go forward together. And this is one of the few times that the Bernie has ever responded to a hit from the Clinton side. He said, and in fact, this was in an interview with Mark Halperin, co-managing editor of Bloomberg Politics. He said, is there a comparison? And no. And Bernie says no. And he says, just on this question, we've discussed this with you before on the skepticism that you're telling people things that they want to hear. And Bernie said, yeah, I am telling people things that they want to hear. People want jobs. They want health care. They want educational opportunities for their kids. They want to deal with climate change. They want the wealthiest people to pay their fair share of taxes. Yeah, that's what I'm telling people. And on every one of those issues, that is exactly what the American people want. And that should be what the Democratic Party is all about. And frankly, I think historically it has been, and I hope it continues to be. But the party has a problem in that regard, and this is something that I would call on Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the DNC to look at cleaning up. I mean, ever since the Al Fromm kind of takeover of the Democratic Party in the late 80s, early 90s, there's been this embrace. The Democratic Party has become more not the party of Wall Street altogether. Wall Street buys Republicans and Democrats equally, but it used to be the party of labor. And the reality is that Ronald Reagan destroyed labor in this country. And so, Fromm might have been absolutely right. This was the only way for Democrats to win. I think he was wrong. I think that actually Democrats controlled state houses. They controlled governorships. They controlled much of Congress for many, many of those years. And what they were losing was the White House. And they lost the White House in Nixon's case because he blew up Lyndon Johnson's, in 1968, he blew up Lyndon Johnson's deal with South Vietnam. They lost to Reagan in Carter's case because the Reagan administration committed treason by going to Iran and saying, hold on those hostages until after the election. And it was that election and George Herbert Walker Bush's election that led to this whole kind of new Dem thing. But now this Lee Fong over at The Intercept is reporting on these super delegates, unelected. Now, people have called before and said, who are the super delegates in the Democratic Party? And I've always said, well, they're the elected officials, the governors, the congressmen and women, the elected officials. But apparently the Democratic Party also can simply appoint people as super delegates. And Lee in this report, which is like a pinball machine flying around the internet right now. And this is why, I am calling on the Democratic Party to clean this up, because integrity and the belief that our party is not in the bag for the lobbyists and the big corporations is important. So he goes through the list. He says, I'm quoting Lee Fong here, who is one of the best investigative journalists in this country. Jeff Berman, well known for his delegate strategy work in the past, is being paid by the Hillary Clinton campaign to organize her delegate counting effort while himself being a super delegate. He is a top lobbyist at Bryan Cave LLP. Berman previously worked as a lobbyist for the private prison company Geo Group and as a lobbyist helping TransCanada build support for the Keystone XL. This is a super delegate? Bill Shaheen. He's one of the 6 New Hampshire superdelegates. His law firm is registered to lobby local officials in New Hampshire on behalf of the American Council of Life Insurers and Pain Care Centers. Pain Care Centers, by the way, 8 of the 10 most prolific opioid prescribers in New Hampshire's Medicaid program work for Pain Care. He's, by the way, the husband of Senator Jeanne Shaheen, the Democrat from New Hampshire. How did he become a superdelegate, a lobbyist? Joanne Dowdell, another New Hampshire superdelegate, is a senior vice president for global government affairs at News Corp, the parent company of Fox News. News Corp Government Affairs Division works to lobby public officials and regulators. A Democratic superdelegate? Superdelegates Jill Alper, Minion Moore, and Maria Cardona, according to Lee Fong, are officials at Dewey Square Group, a lobbying firm that is closely affiliated with the Clinton campaign and retained by the Clinton supporting Super PAC Priorities USA Action and Correct the Record. Dewey Square Group was retained by the health insurance industry to undermine health reform efforts in 2009, Li Fang says, including proposals to change Medicare Advantage. The firm has previously worked to influence policy on behalf of Enron, Countrywide, Citigroup, Coca-Cola, the U.S. Telco Association, and News Corp. Jennifer Cunningham, managing director of SKD Knickerbocker, political consulting firm, lobbies the Obama administration on a tax cut for overseas earnings, lobbied to weaken rules governing for-profit colleges, and helped a food industry group undermine Michelle Obama's nutrition guidelines. A superdelegate is working to undermine the president's wife? Tonio Burgos, a fundraiser for Clinton, is a lobbyist registered to influence New York City officials on behalf of Verizon, Pfizer, and American Airlines. Emily Giske, also a lobbyist in New York City, is registered to work on behalf of Airbnb, Yum Brands, Pfizer, and the securities industry, and Financial Markets Association, a trade group for Wall Street firms such as Goldman Sachs, Fidelity, and Bank of America. This is, I really believe the Democratic Party my Democratic Party needs to be taking a serious look at how much this party has changed over the last 20 or 30 years. And let's clean up our act here. Let's get some of these lobbyists out of superdelegate positions. My personal opinion. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.